Okay, so guess let's get into the presentation. Mine's going to be over living with autism and misconceptions about it.
Okay, I'll get it. Are you going to introduce yourself?
I am. I'm Ben Nadia. You'll learn more about me, but first, few questions. First off, what does any of you know about autism, specifically? Anyone know anything? No? Okay, well, do you know anyone with autism?
I do.
Alright, well, allow me to introduce myself. I am Ben Nadia. I am 16. I live with my mom, my dad, my sister Savannah, and 3 dogs. Some of the things I like is I like video games and music. My favorite music groups are Panic! At the Disco, Fall Out Boy, and the Beatles. I want to be a forensic scientist and maybe run for public office. Have not decided on that one yet. And lastly, as I like to say, I am autistic myself. That's why I'm doing this. What is autism? Autism is a neurological condition classified as a development disability. It can affect everyone, male, female, child, adult, regardless of race, age, or whatever. It affects everyone differently. One thing that a lot of people like to say is that if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. Everyone's going to be different. That has to. A few characteristics. While it varies from person to person, there's a few common traits that autistic individuals might have. Different sensory experiences, which means that they might not feel stuff the same way, or just, it's kind of hard to describe, but like, sounds can be an issue if they're very loud, more so than with other people. They have different approaches to problem solving and learning. Passionate interest in certain subject is something that is not a characteristic. Repetitive movement, some common ones are maybe hand flapping or just a tick. That could be repetitive movement. Need for routine is one thing. They just need like a routine throughout the day, which helps. Difficulties with verbal and nonverbal communication, which is they're going to have difficulties just communicating in certain ways. Difficulties in social situations. They can have problems socializing with other people. Trouble making eye contact is another one. It just can be hard. Possible delay in development. Now this isn't always true, but this is true in some cases. Like learning to talk, or yeah, that's probably the bigger one. You can have delays in that, and motor skill issues. Like I like to say with me is like I'm very clumsy, and I have issues with that. And my hands are really shaky, and this is probably why. Non-characteristics where misconceptions start. We do not lack empathy. We just process emotions differently. Like we'll still feel sad, but it can be hard to describe, or it might just affect us in a different way. But we do feel the full range of emotions. If we just have different ways of processing them. That's what I like to say. It's not that we don't want friends. It's just that we have trouble socializing with people. Like stereotype is that they're alone. They don't have like any friends outside of family, and mostly because you just have trouble socializing. It's not that I don't want friends, I just have trouble making some. We are not dumb, which is another misconception that is tossed around, that you're just going to be dumb, which is not true. I can attest to that.
Question.
Yes.
I thought IQs were normally higher.
They can be. I've heard conflicting reports on that like sometimes they're higher, sometimes it's average. Again, it affects everyone differently. We are not aggressive in any way, which is another conception that makes people scared. big one, but it's not true. It doesn't go away as adult. It's not as an adult. It's not something you outgrow. You have it. You live with it throughout your life. That's just how it goes. No way of communication is misconception. No matter what, you will always have a way to communicate. An autistic person each has their own way of communicating, no matter what. They always have some way of telling you how they feel. It might vary again, and this kind of be an irritation, but like it does not mean stupid. And I've heard that tossed around as like a synonym for that, which it is not, which is rather damaging. My experience with it. Okay, I was diagnosed around 6 years ago when I was 10 with Asperger's syndrome. Just 6 years ago, Asperger's was not considered part of the autism spectrum, which it is now, which does show that we are still learning about this. At the time, I didn't really understand what it meant, but I do now. I was soon put into this weekly help group that I hated because I didn't feel like I was learning anything. My mom noticed this and eventually let me stop going, thankfully. Day to day, I function perfectly fine. I take medicine for ADHD on school days and a pill for my anxiety every night. We'll get into that. How autism affects me. I'm always moving, like I can't stay still. Like if I'm just sitting down, maybe wrestling around the chair or just tapping my feet. I have issues paying attention sometimes. Like it's not that I don't pay attention, it's just that sometimes it can be hard to keep my attention, especially if I'm not interested in something more so than other people. My hands are very shaky sometimes. Like whenever I'm holding something, I have a tendency to shake it. My hands just get shaky. This doesn't happen all the time, but that can happen. Again, I'm pretty clumsy, like to say. I constantly bang my toes on everything and I end up tripping a lot. So it's not usually, that's, again, sudden touches are no. Like if you touch me from like behind and I don't see you, I like jump up and like, that's another thing I'm not a big fan of. Like you can touch me fine as long as I know it's coming, but just suddenly it startles me. I don't like getting wet unwantedly. Like I can take a shower, wash my hands, whatever, I don't care. But like if I don't want it, like if like rain or whatever, that's usually I don't like that a lot. I'm not the best at reading situations, which pretty much means that like when something happens, like I'm not the best of discerning what happened or what should I do or how it's gonna turn out, which I not that I can't, it's just I have trouble with that. And I get overwhelmed very easily, which is just how it happens. Causative autism. There's no definitive proof of what causes it. However, it is a common belief that it is a genetic variation in a gene that causes it. So, believed to be genetic. Vaccines don't cause autism. I'm sure some of you may have heard that, but no, it doesn't. Saying so is harmful as it implies that autism is worse than polio, which can cause death, which is an issue. Since it is most likely genetic, there is no cure, because you can't cure a genetic condition. You are born with it. Other disorders associated with autism, some individuals with autism have a coexisting condition. Like me, I have ADHD and anxiety. And I get very nervous. And then there's Tourette's syndrome, which is just, you have like a tick, you know? It's not something I have, but some individuals do. There's not an epidemic. Autism is being better understood, so it is becoming increasingly easier to identify autistic individuals, plus more traits are being identified as characteristics of autism. So many who do not qualify, say, 10 years ago, now would, which is kind of like, the rise of it is just that we have a better understanding You hear functioning labels, and those aren't really useful. High and low functioning really mean nothing. Can be good at one thing, but have issues in another. So you can be like, oh, he's high functioning here, but low functioning there, so that's very tricky. It can set expectations low for low functioning individuals. Undermine the struggles of supposed high functioning individuals, because no matter what, there's still struggles that go along with this no matter what. And biggest thing, many autistic individuals just don't like it, like myself.
You don't like autism, you mean?
The functioning labels.
Okay.
That's a different thing. Okay, so misconception hurt. The misconception of autism hurt us more than anything. People will treat us different, act like we can't do anything, and even fear us, and some organizations even treat us like second-class citizens, which we'll get into later. Okay, let's watch a video. You might have seen this or might not have, but I'm going to end up talking about this one and why it's bad. There we go.
I'm visible in your children, but if I can help it, I am invisible to you until it's too late. I know where you live, and guess what? I live there too. I hover around all of you. I know no color barrier, no religion, no morality, no currency. I speak your language fluently, and with every voice I take away, I acquire yet another language. I work very quickly. I work faster than pediatric AIDS, cancer, and diabetes combined. And if you are happily married, I will make sure that your marriage fails. Your money will fall into my hands, and I will bankrupt you for my own self-gain. I don't sleep, so I make sure you don't either. I will make it virtually impossible for your family to easily attend a temple, a birthday party, a public park, without a struggle, without embarrassment, without pain. You have no cure for me. Your scientists don't have the resources, and I relish their desperation. Your neighbors are happier to pretend that I don't exist, of course, until it's their child. I am autism. I have no interest in right or wrong. I derive great pleasure out of your loneliness. I will fight to take away your hope. I will plot to rob you of your children and your dreams. I will make sure that every day you wake up, you will cry, wondering who will take care of my child after I die. And the truth is, I'm still winning, and you are scared. And you should be. I am autism. You ignored me. That was a mistake.
And to autism I say,
I am a father,
a mother, a grandparent,
brother,
a sister.
We will spend every waking hour trying to weaken you.
We don't need sleep because we will not rest until you do.
Family can be much stronger than autism ever anticipated, and we will not be intimidated by you, nor will the love and strength of my community.
I am a parent riding towards you, and you can push me off this horse time and time again, but I will get up, climb back on, and ride on with the message.
Autism, you forget who we are. You forget who you are dealing with. You forget the spirit of mothers and daughters and fathers and sons.
We are the United Kingdom.
States.
We are Argentina.
Russia.
European Union.
We are the United Nations.
We are coming together in all climates.
We call on all faiths. We search with technology,
And voodoo.
prayer, and
Herbs, genetic studies.
And a growing awareness you never anticipated.
We have had challenges, but we are the best when overcoming them.
we speak the only language that matters, love for our children.
Our capacity to love is greater than your capacity to overwhelm.
Autism is naive.
You are alone. We are a community of warriors.
We have a voice.
You think because some of our children cannot speak, we cannot hear them? That is autism's weakness.
You think that because my child lives behind a wall, I'm afraid to knock it down with my bare hands?
You have not properly been introduced to this community of parents and grandparents, of siblings, friends, and school teachers, therapists, pediatricians, and scientists.
Autism, if you are not scared, you should be.
When you came for my child, you forgot.
You came for me.
Autism. Are you listening?
That's the video. Scary, right? Oh, I roll my eyes at this every time. Alright, they might,
When did they make that? Do you know?
a few years ago, caused such an outrage though that they did have to take it down, but nothing gets taken off the internet. So,
Press ESC at the top. No, on the keyboard.
maybe just try.
There you go.
There we go. Next slide. Okay, that was bad. Really bad, and here's why. A little about the organization that made it, and you might have heard their name before. You probably have. Autism Speaks is the biggest organization for autism awareness. However, this is rather bad because, put it bluntly, they are absolutely horrible. Only 2% of their budget actually goes to helping autistic individuals and their family. Most of their budget goes to curing autism and eliminating it. I like to say that they pretty much wish that autistic individuals were never born, and they just want it completely gone, which, by the way, there isn't a cure, and there won't be, because again, it's genetic. You can't cure a genetic disorder. They make it seem like raising an autistic child is like having no life at all, which is not true by any means. They don't have an autistic board member on their entire board. They did have one, but he quit because I guess they just treated him badly, and just the way they run the organization. And I didn't show this one, but they made a video where a mother talked about killing herself and her autistic daughter, and didn't because she had a neurotypical child at home, which is absolutely terrible. I like to say, if I believe that the autistic child was sitting in the room with her. Imagine your mother just saying that about you right while you're just sitting there. It's horrible. Now the video itself compares it to cancer and AIDS. The comparison is really troubling. It makes it sound like autism is a disease, which it is not. Again, it is a disorder. Autism isn't scary, it doesn't kill you, and it will not ruin your life if you have it or if your kid has it.
For the bell, is there anything you want to cover? Because everybody has first period class. Is there anything you want to skip to, but I mean, if there's any questions?
I might want to just go. Here's about marriages. This is thing. Couples who have an autistic child stay together at the same rate as ones with neurotypical children. Attending public places. It demeans us. It makes it sound like we cannot be in a public place or we will cause embarrassment, which isn't true, and which first off is not true. And second off, if you are a parent and you're afraid of your child embarrassing you, you do not have your child's best interest in mind. Autism is not embarrassing. Says we do not have a cure, which is true, but I just need to stress that we don't need it, and autistic individuals do not want to stress that autistic individuals can take care of themselves a lot of the time. You should be scared. You shouldn't be scared. Autism is not scary. It isn't contagious, and it doesn't make your kid some sort of monster. It is a disorder that causes individuals to process things differently. I'll just keep going. Let's just go. It only has parents who don't like speaking and not an actual autistic individual, and I guess until the end. Which is an issue because when raising awareness, an autistic individual might be the best way to go. By that, I mean, like, if you're gonna speak about this, get someone who actually knows it. Like, no matter how close you are to an individual with autism, you could never understand what it means to be autistic better than an actual person with autism. Yeah, just go to the end. I don't think we have time. I love to cover all this. What to do? It is simple. Learn to accept autistic individuals and not erase them, which I hope a lot of you already believe. I don't blame you if you have supported Autism Speaks because you probably didn't know, but Please change that. Now you do. Like I said, I don't blame you to support it, but it can be misleading. Who to support? An organization, the Autism Self-Advocacy Network is a great organization that puts autistic voices and needs first. It is run by autistic individuals for autistic individuals. Please visit their website for details on what you can do to help.
Good.
Thanks for listening.